Good morning. On behalf of the Student Council and the Peer Leadership Council, I would like to welcome you to the 2021 Elgin Park Virtual Career Webinar, The Last Day. Today, I'm speaking on the shared, traditional, and unceded territory of the Katsi, Semiahmoo, and other Coast Salish peoples. To begin, my name is Ruth, and I'll be your coordinator and also your moderator for this session. We also have our wonderful PLC and Suco volunteers here as chat moderators and note takers. So now I'll be passing on the mic on to our student interviewer, Catherine, who will be introducing our very honored guest today.
Thank you, Ruth. Today we have a very special guest speaker, Mr. Johnstone. Mr. Johnstone has led the ORCAS since 2016, and over the years, Elgin Park has been introduced to countless changes and projects for the wellness of students and staff. We couldn't be more ecstatic today to get to know Mr. Johnstone and to dive into his professional career. Please join me in welcoming virtually Mr. Johnstone.
Wow, thank you. I'm very honored to be here today, and just a shout out to PLC and Stuco for doing this. I've popped into a number of these sessions in different classrooms and have seen sort of 5-10 minutes of different ones, and it's been fantastic. And I know some of the feedback from our parents that I'm getting is very positive, and same thing with the kids and the students. So thank you for you guys doing this. Yes, and I kind of feel I'm a little humbled here. Like I'm not a forensic accountant getting guns pointed at him, or I'm not a dentist and a pilot. So I don't have a t-shirt collection at all that's worth anything. But yes, I'm happy to be here today.
Okay, to start off, could you give us an overview of your profession and the education journey that led to it?
Okay, maybe I'll start with the journey. I think similar to some of the other speakers, my sort of focus to share today is about just pursuing what you're interested in and what you like. You know, as a kid, I loved space Lego. I wanted to be an astronaut. Later in high school, I thought I was going to be a professional athlete, whether it being basketball or rugby. And of course, that didn't happen. The recruiters didn't sort of put a lot of attention on me, but and so I had some passions. I enjoyed sports. I enjoyed being physically active, and I started coaching when I was in high school, younger kids, and I really enjoyed that sort of volunteer thing that I did. And I was the first person in my family to go to university, and so it was a bit of a big deal for my family. And I just followed some of my friends into UBC, into the arts program. And in the first week or two, I realized that I didn't like the courses I was taking. I didn't like philosophy. I didn't like economics. I liked my history course. That was about it. And then I sort of had a big reflection weekend one day, and then I switched programs, and I heard about the human kinetics and kinesiology department at UBC, and I sort of dropped those classes and went to where I sort of found my peoples, per se, a lot of like-minded people, and I loved it. And that sort of, and with the coaching in that program, it's sort of, I ended up becoming a professional athlete as a physical education teacher.
Wow.
I got paid to throw balls at kids. Just kidding. But it was, that's sort of where it led to me. So.
Okay. Yeah. I think you mentioned that you really found like people who were like really like-minded individuals, and like, I guess finding that niche is really important. Now to go a little bit more in depth, what would you say are the hard and soft skills of a principal?
You know, starting first with an educator, a lot of our hard skills is that we have to become experts in different fields, right? Whether you're a science teacher or an English teacher, so you're experts in your subject areas. And the other sort of key hard skill that teachers have is sort of how do you, you know, if you look at Pythagoras' theorem, how do you sell that to kids, right? And how do you break down things in order for kids to learn? So that's a very important thing. But a lot of our job as an educator and a principal is more on the soft skills. Very, very important. Communication, decision making in my job right now is one of the biggest things, and how to make decisions. With our staff here, we sometimes make decisions collectively and sort of collaboratively. Sometimes we make decisions on consultation to get input from students. Been here for 5 years. We had a hat rule a long time ago, and so that we went through a process to determine that decision. That was at the end my decision, but we had a staff vote. We talked to kids, so that's very important. And I think the number one thing for educators is all about the people skills, about connecting with people, building positive relationships, and caring for each other, which is really important, especially right now. So.
Right. So you would say like compassion and the ability to like network with your coworkers and students is really important to your role as a principal.
Yeah.
So I know there can be certain misconceptions with the field of education and administration. So what is one thing that people often misunderstand about your profession?
Well, when I was a kid, I was in junior high. I was in the principal's office a little bit. Not for good things, but the big misconception is that whenever I walk into a class, or even Miss Allard or Miss Beck, when we walk into a class, everybody immediately thinks they're here to get somebody and suspend them because they did something bad. But often we're going to talk to kids to talk about a reference letter that they've asked us to do. There's a variety of things, course changes, or there's something going in at home and they need to talk to their parents right away. There's a lot of reasons why we talk to kids in classes, and it's not necessarily bad all the time. So that's a big misconception, but we're not here to yell at people, but although I am getting a little tired of telling everybody to put their mask on and say 2 meters apart, but hopefully that will end soon. So.
Yeah, all crossing our fingers that doesn't have to be the case for next few months. But as for the highlight of the day, how do you like to be appreciated for all of your hard work at the school? And what can we do as students to make your life easier?
That's a good question, but I think educators are generally very humble people. We are paid on salary. No matter how hard we work, we don't make more money. We don't get for every kid that has an A, we don't get a raise. For all the kids that get scholarships, we don't get a percentage of it, obviously. Some careers have perks. The harder you work or the better you do at your job, the more income or rewards you get. But I think as an educator, I think how we do our job, it's that intrinsic motivation of just helping our kids and seeing them have success, and whatever that means for kids. Some kids, work really hard to pass a really difficult course, and there's other kids that, success is 100% in a course per se. But that's the love for us as educators, is to sort of empower and ignite kids' sort of thirst to learn and to become great people. So, but sort of the one thing that teachers like every once in a while is if a teacher does something over the top and helping a kid, it's nice to sort of just the student saying thank you, or sending an email saying thank you for your help, or your extra 2 hours you spent with somebody after school getting them ready for a test or something. So just once in a while, it's nice to get a thank you. And for teachers, the one thank you we get every couple months, it's very, it nourishes us. So that's very helpful for us.
Yeah, like showing appreciation to your teachers is really, really important. So to continue, what are some educational development that you believe to be beneficial to high school students? So examples may include like transition programs, flex time, etc.
So flex time, I've sort of helped implement that at previous schools I was at, and it's sort of something that I find like our school system is antiquated in many ways. It comes from the Industrial Revolution. It's the factory model. We have batches of kids based on the grad class of 2020, here they go kind of thing, or 2021. But our staff here were quite interested, and I think the frustration that we had that the Surrey School District has a lot of rules on different things, but I believe that the students and the staff did a great job with implementing flex time. Our teachers wanted it, and most of our teachers did. And I think students now, when they're given time to do what they want, their personalized learning, kids know what's best for them and when to do different things. So I think flex time has been very helpful for our kids. It's kind of cool going to classes, and one of the teachers sort of mentioned sometimes it's a bit of a mental recess to sort of kids can sort of have a break from and choose what they want to work on, and let them sort of own their learning and own their own sort of time management. So I think it's a good thing for our kids. And I think as a staff, we're pretty proud, and we can't wait to go back to our regular schedule to sort of implement that again.
Yeah, personally, as student, I have found flex time super useful to kind of just explore my own interests and work on some of my own skills. So next, what is one tip you would give to students who wish to find success, whatever that may be, in their professional careers?
Well, I think similar to other people that I've heard this week, and sort of what I shared before of sort of how I changed my pathway. And excuse me, I think the number one thing is learn from all your part-time jobs that you have. Like actually, when I thought about this interview, I actually wrote down all the jobs that I've had through high school and university, that I've had 28 different jobs.
Oh,
and
wow.
I learned from everything, some of the hard skills and soft skills from those jobs. And if you were I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken. You can learn from that, right? Just every job or volunteer experience you have, gain something from that, right? And it's good to sort of build those skills and your confidence to sort of go to the next level. And as well as you're gaining your skills, just find what your passion is. I worked at a fish plant, and some people, that was their career. They did it for 35 years. And it was something that I learned pretty quickly. I don't want to work on an assembly line, cutting the heads off of fish. Some people like doing that. That wasn't my thing. Learn from that, but just follow whatever your interest is. And sort of like myself, I was in the arts program. I didn't like economics. I didn't like philosophy. Some people do, but find what you're good at and let it lead to a career somehow.
Right. So you would say like taking on different opportunities and really learn something from each experience.
Yeah, take something from everything, right? So how you can learn, whether it's a summer job working at a restaurant, cleaning dishes, learn from that. How do you become a good team member in the kitchen or whatever? Or if you're a server, how do you engage and connect with the people that you're hosting, and sort of build all your skills. And it's sort of your working resume that sort of leads you to where you want to go. Right.
So to end off, what are some fun and memorable moments that you have experienced as a principal?
This is my 26th year as an educator, and I've been high school admin. I know I'm old, aren't I? I'm not the oldest on staff though. There's been a ton of memorable moments, and I've reflected a lot on that. We've had in our schools and classes that we have some good times, we have some not so good times, but I actually had my truck stolen from one of my high schools I worked at in the parking lot.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, at Coquitlam. Yeah, be careful of your car in Coquitlam. So that was memorable, but the positive things are, we talk a lot at our staff meetings about the magic in the classroom, in that it's great to see when kids' eyes just sort of light up about what they're learning. And sort of, I remember one of our recent plays, the Putnam spelling, or the country, or Putnam the spelling bee. I forget the name of that drama production we had when that first night when they got a standing ovation, and looking on the kids' faces about their hard work and the staff that worked with them, that sort of having that, it sort of was amazing. I remember another time a student in grade 9 did his first solo jazz performance at a concert, and again, when the parents clapped and sort of he paused and sort of like, wow, that was for me. And those are sort of the cool moments. And I was sharing yesterday with a couple of staff members when we had our new virtual grad ceremony, when there was nobody there, and one of the students, amazing kid, and he got one of our top scholarships, and just sort of his gratitude and how I wish 2,000 people were able to see that, because he was just so honored and appreciative and so happy. And it's sort of amazing for us as teachers to sort of have those moments. There's always good days and bad days, but there's a lot of memorable moments as educators. Yeah. And it's all based on the kids and what you guys do. So.
Yeah, I think it's all like those little moments that can really bring a smile to someone. So thank you so much for volunteering your time today to share your story and passion. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our students before we move on to the Q&A portion?
I just reiterate, follow your passion. And with the internet and the worldwide, the way the world is today, you can find whatever your skill or your passion is, you can find a career with that. It might just take some time, and just follow that. Don't do something that find your people. Don't do something that you don't like, and just because your friends are doing it, or I know some of our families have, they want to try to help guide the parents as coaches for careers is very important as well, but sort of follow your heart.
All right. So like staying true to yourself and doing what you love and loving what you do. Yeah. So now our moderator, Ruth, will take over and be relaying the questions in the chat.
All right. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that was actually really informative and interesting to hear. So I've actually had quite a few questions that are just direct message to me. So Amy asked, a while back, Elgin hosted its own student voice forum, which was a pretty niche thing, but I'm pretty sure you remember. Is that something you plan on pushing forward once the school operations more normalized, aka like the COVID restrictions ease?
Yeah, well, the student voice that we started prior to COVID was one of my friends that I used to work with sort of hosted that forum. And I got very inspired taking a bunch of our students there. I was inspired, so were they. And sort of, again, what we're able to do at Flex Time is we were sort of had groups of students that went to that forum to sort of, let's hear what the kids want to know about our school. And it was really nice to sort of hear. We invited different kids in, and it was very random kids, just to sort of ask questions to the students about Flex Time and about, we talked about vaping and how we can sort of make sure the bathrooms are safe for everybody. And we had a bunch of topics, and it was very informative for myself and know what's going on and what's best for the students. So yes, are we going to bring that back? For sure. Yes.
Yes, I'm happy to hear that, even though I won't be here next year. I'm just glad that students will get to have an input. And I know one of the highlights was the Krispy Kreme donuts that you always bring for us.
I live near there. Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't do that now, but maybe later. So Rachel has a question. What are some of the hardest decisions you had to make as a principal?
We're in that process right now with staffing situations, and hard decisions are, our school's getting smaller this year, and or for the next year, we're dropping about 100 students. And that means that, we're creating jobs right now for our teachers for next year and what they're teaching. And when we have less of everything, it is obviously much more difficult. And, and it's also hard to see that some of our staff, the amazing teachers that are here, might not be back here next year. So that's kind of, also we always talk about the Orca pod, right? And some of our Orca staff members might not be able to come back next year. And that's kind of the difficult part. So, because we're a bit of a family here, right? So.
Yeah, if you worked like literally every day, I think you would gain more than just a workplace relationship.
Yeah.
Miss Spencer asks, what led you to your decision to progress from teaching to administration?
Good question. Again, if you talked to me in grade 9 and asked me if I would be a high school principal, I would have bet the person a lot of money that I wouldn't become one, but I never thought I would be here. But I had a lot of great mentors that I worked with in my first sort of 5 to 10 years in teaching. And I had some, I still remember them, John Kerr and Dave Taylor. There were two gentlemen that sort of got more out of me than I thought was in me. I was often like an assistant captain on my teams or whatever, but I never thought I would be like a leader of a school. But they sort of found something in me or saw something that they kind of just pulled that out of me. And next thing I know, I was leading different initiatives at the school and the district. And I just sort of worked my way there, and really thankful for those people. And that's the other thing maybe for people to know, that it's sort of find the people that are going to challenge you and make you better. And that's a very, and find those people and connect with them, because it just makes you a better person down the road. So.
Yeah, and it actually ties into your question that Mr. Day had for you. And would you say that the people that you mentioned are your mentors in your life, specifically for your professional careers? And what advice would you give to students who do not have a mentor in their lives?
So there's kind of two questions there. So maybe I'll answer the last one about, and that's the part where I hope in our school system here at Elgin Park that every student has a meaningful adult that they can go to help them. And then whether it's a coach or it's a parent coach or it's a teacher here or a support staff member, that's our goal for sure. And if someone doesn't have that connection with somebody, that's a tough question to answer. But, I think the number one thing though is if you are looking for that, sort of look at opportunities to sort of connect with people. Like just when I mentioned about sort of try to find your people. And sometimes you have to go out of your shell and sort of find somebody or a group that you have a common interest with, whether it's a club or something, and maybe that teacher that works with the club might become that person, or join a team. We have a lot of staff here that put a lot of work outside of the classroom. So if and that's the other thing, if a student sort of is connected to a teacher, maybe the teacher doesn't know that that kid wants them sort of a bit more from them, then just connect with them more and it will naturally happen. So.
Yeah, I can personally speak for like my experiences in Elgin Parks that like all the teachers were super helpful. Like if you really just want some guidance, like they just ask and like they would love to help you. Yeah, and like going backpedaling a little bit, someone asked, and also I'm personally interested, could you elaborate more about like the 28 or so jobs you've had? And would you say that it is more important to know what you're not interested than what you are interested in?
Um, well, like out of the 28 jobs I worked in, in Richmond, they have a bylaw that gas stations have to have gas jockey attendants. So I pumped gas into people's cars for a year as a part-time job. Like again, I worked at a fish plant, I worked in construction, I worked in restaurants, I worked in Safeway for quite a while. There was customer skills to, help people and stuff was very challenging sometimes, but you know, I was a student painter. I had my own little lawn cutting company when I was in grade 9. I was, you know, pulling on my bike, my lawnmower down the road to cut people's grass, and sort of made a little business out of that. And yeah, so the question, sort of what I learned from everything in those jobs. So you know, but I found out that I was not a good business person in grade 9. I wasn't, you know, I think I could have done a better job, but that wasn't sort of my forte. I'm not like a person that I wasn't knocking on doors asking people, but it was just sort of word of mouth. But I think it goes back to take away from every experience you have, whether it's a volunteer experience or, you know, I volunteered to be a coach for the Special Olympics, and helped coach floor hockey for Special Olympics, and it was amazing. And I took a lot from that, and sort of how different it is to sort of coach high performance athletes versus other people. So it was very enriching for myself. But yeah, I've had a lot of jobs. A delivery truck driver, that's pretty boring. But it was, you're alone, right? I was alone all day, just going from place to place. So I realized from that job, what I took away is that I want to work with people. I don't want to just be alone. And, you know, I know a lot of people right now are missing going to the office now that they're working at home. And sort of some people are like, some of my friends, they hate their job right now because they like what they do, but they miss being with the people that they were doing the job with. And yeah, it's different now. So
I see. Yeah. From what I heard is that you're not just blindly trying to go through different jobs, because like for each experience that you had, you kind of learn something that pushed you towards the career that you're now on. So I think that's a really interesting takeaway that our students would be interested. Yeah, and also like for these different experiences, you can like this is why we have a career center at our school, and we have the different co-op opportunities, and we have staff specifically for the just to like help you find these opportunities. So like I really encourage everyone to just maybe visit the career center if you just want these rainbow of experiences. I have another question for you. Were you always confident in your skills as a professional, such as a principal? If not, how did you overcome the initial hesitation and gain the necessary skills you have today?
um, I think I just sort of built on that. You know, I still remember I had a bit of a phobia of public speaking when I was in grade 7 and grade 8 and grade 9. And I loathed those kind of speech things. You know, those assignments we had to do a 2-minute speech in English 8 or something. And I remember hating that. But what sort of some of the different jobs that I've had and sort of my own personal growth and learning that, you know, I remember the first time I hosted a commencement as a teacher at the Orpheum downtown with 2,000 people, and I was the MC. I was like, wow, I've come a long way from someone that feared public speaking to I'm kind of comfortable with it now. I still get a little nervous before every kind of big event, but to me, though, that shows that that's important to me to do a good job. But I think sort of you gotta push yourself and challenge yourself as well, and to sort of build on your skills. So you know, from building that confidence, I think you just sort of chip away a little bit by a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. And you know, it just took some time and gaining confidence as well as you go. So don't expect to get to here right away. Sometimes the journey is little increment steps that take you to where you want to go.
Yeah, I can really connect with your experience because like confidence really you have to like chip away at it. So just like put yourself out there in the situations that might require to have like a lot of confidence. And actually going back to the job thing, what was your favorite job among the 28 jobs you've had?
Um, uh, my favorite.
Not
Uh,
counting the principal, obviously. I'm sure
um,
that's your favorite job right now, isn't it?
but sort of, I think, well, my favorite job, I think I'm in that right now. And I do miss being in the classroom and getting to know like every class very well. I'm very fond of my memories being as a teacher. When I worked for 10 years at a high school, and some of my best friends came from that school, and I'm still close to those people. And I still bump into students that they're now in their early 40s, believe it or not, or their late 30s. And it's just so amazing to sort of see the people that you worked with years ago or down the road. And it's kind of, so to be honest, right now, this is my favorite job. So, and it's not really a job too, right? It's just kind of, I like coming here every day. Sometimes I'm a little tired, but yeah, this is sort of, it's what I like to do, right? So would I go back to some of those jobs? No, this is
Mm,
what I want to do. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm
And,
sure, yeah.
and recently I took on another passion. I've been missing coaching basketball since my kids haven't played. So I decided to be I was trained to be took the certification to be a basketball ref for something to do on the side as well. And it helps sort of, I'm a very competitive person. It's sort of, I can't play rugby anymore because my body's getting a little too old. And I still have to find that competitive part for me. And that's sort of, I love it. And I can't
Yeah.
wait till our sports go back too, so I can, um, yeah, blow the whistle and have fun doing that too.
Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were like the rugby coach for Elgin Park, like the
Yep.
boys rugby.
Yep.
Yeah, so you kind of take on multiple jobs within our school as well.
But what got me into this position though was I was coaching when I was in high school. And that is like, if I won the $27 million 649, I'd probably stop this job, but I would still be coaching.
I
It's
see, I see.
rugby is one of my loves and I love coaching and I would probably still do that. So
Yeah, we are almost at the end of the session. So I would like to once again thank Mr. Johnstone, our principal, for taking the time to join us today. I'm sure many of us were inspired and surprised even by your story and the journey that it took to get to where you are today. And lastly, a big thank you to everyone who has joined us today. And we hope you learn more about our principles and your interests as well. To our teachers and volunteers, thank you so much for your continual support. That's it for this session. We have one more session, and that will be the end of our career week. So have a nice day, and you are free to log out now. Thank
great.
you.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you,
Thank you,
Catherine.
Mr. Johnstone.